Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we're taking a look at this knife here. This is a CRKT fixed blade Razel. Before we get into that, I'm trying out some new things, some different things with this background. If you guys will remember from my last review, I've got a reflective surface on this desk under here, and so I'm testing some things out, some backgrounds out. Today, obviously, we're using this old bandana. Let me know what you think. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to be doing things with my new setup here. But anyways, let's go ahead and get this review started with our blade length measurements. And where the heck did I put my ruler? There it is. Get over here, you little son of a gun. Got to reach all the way across the desk, which, yes, this is a big desk. Alrighty. Sharpened edge. We are looking at 2.75 inches. We go all the way back to the handle, 3 1/4 inches. So definitely an EDC sized fixed blade, right? This is a pocket fixed blade. Size comparisons. Let's go ahead and we'll do the usual suspects. Here is our Rat 1, and here is our Rat 2. So yeah, not a big fixed blade by any stretch of the imagination. Next up, let's go ahead and bring out our Civivis. Here's our Desert Warrior. And there's our Praxis. Not a big knife. Not a big knife at all. Let's bring out our USA Made comparisons. The Benchmade Bug Out. And the Spyderco PM2. Cool. And we will go ahead and close this out with a comparison to the Artisan Cutlery Sea Snake, another EDC fixed blade. Very comparable in size, but quite a bit different in style, right? What are we looking at for our materials? We've got a D2 blade with the Razel blade shape. We have micarta scales with, I think this is red G10 for the liners, and the sheath is molded plastic with a steel clip. So let's go ahead and go to the cutting footage. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Review Cutting in the Rain. This is actually a series I quite enjoy. Anyways, yeah, it's a beautiful rainy day. Probably going to get soaked. It's probably going to pick up quite a bit. Who cares? Right? Who cares? We're here today talking about an amazing knife, the CRKT Razel fixed blade. I love this knife. I cannot tell you how much I love this knife. This thing's fantastic. I've had this for about 3 weeks now, and I'm ready to do the full review. When will I get able to sit down and film a review? I don't know, but we're doing review cutting today. So let's go ahead and get right into this. Let's start off with the ergonomics. Alrighty, so we had a little bit of malfunction while filming. I think I'm going to leave in the kind of intro to review cutting I did. We're going to kind of start over, though. So, yeah, CRKT fixed blade Razel. Let's get into the ergonomics first. Really nice. At first, because of these swells here, I thought, that's kind of cramping me. But the more I used it, the more I kind of adjusted to a grip that was actually very comfortable. If you have larger hands, you can still kind of like go in this area here with your pinky. If you've got smaller hands, this might be even more comfortable for you. But I found it to be pretty comfortable. The micarta is very nice and soft, gives you a really nice feeling. And yeah, it's nice. The jimping up here is very unique, but it works. It really does work. I appreciate that a whole lot. I love jimping, and this jimping is very, very nice. Let's go ahead and talk about the carry. So, go down to our crotch cam. I was carrying this knife the way I think it was intended to be carried, which is kind of like a pocket knife, you know? It's easy to get in and out of the sheath without the sheath coming out of your pocket. Although, if you do want to take the whole thing out, it's pretty easy to do. Here's the sheath. You got a pocket clip here. Pretty flat. It's kind of wide, but that helps it. It kind of feels like a wallet in the pocket, honestly. I did try carrying this a few times back here, and I just found it, I don't know. It works, but for me it wasn't my favorite thing, especially if you have to like sit down or something, and as a student who drives a lot, I do more sitting than I would like. You know, this is fine for if you're just out using it and working, but if you gotta sit down, I wouldn't like that very much. You can also put it in your left pocket if you want to do a cross draw. If you're left-handed, I kind of wish the clip was able to be flipped, because that would make this knife very, very easy to use for lefties. This sheath is not symmetrical. It kind of looks like it, but it's not. As you see from this outline here and from this shape here, the knife has to go in a certain way. Still, it would have been so easy for them to make this a reversible clip, and that would have been absolutely fantastic. Why they didn't do that, I couldn't tell you. But, you know, lefties, you can probably figure something out. I don't know. Waistband, maybe. I don't know. It's an easy knife to carry, even in basketball shorts. Alrighty, so now we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and do some cutting. And I need to go and get the cutting material out of my truck. I put it away because it was raining. I mean, I guess technically it still is raining, but not as much. Yeah, so this blade is a very, very striking feature. This is the knife's most striking feature. And this is something that is, it's a signature of John Graham, right? The Razel blade shape, it's a mix between a razor and a chisel. It's very, very cool. And I thought, you know, yeah, that looks cool. How useful is that going to be? The answer is actually very, very useful. So, let's go ahead and get into some cutting. I gotta say, I feel like I filmed 100 videos where I'm using this knife to get into blister packs. This knife is fantastic for blister packs. Maybe I'll throw in some footage of that. But yeah, for right now, let's go ahead and do our regular review. Start off with a Blade HQ box. If only you had something sharp. A little box predicting your own demise. So we actually do have a hollow grind right here. It's not a very deep hollow grind, but it is a hollow grind. And then we've got a flat grind up here. As you can see, we've got kind of this swedge in the grind, so this is a little bit thinner than up here. And that does play an important role, I think. This knife is quite good at utility cuts, as you can see there. Let's tilt down just a little bit more. Whoa, not that much, camera. Thank you. Yeah, you can get some pretty good utility cuts. Let's do some slices real quick after we cut this. That secondary tip there, kind of like a Tonto, how you can use a Tonto secondary tip for utility cuts. Oh, shoot, that probably wasn't in screen at all. In frame. But, this thing is not, like, super thin behind the edge, but it's a good slicer, right? For a robust work knife, I think it slices 100% okay. Let's go ahead and do just a couple more utility cuts. Very easy to get to that tip. It is very, very controllable. And, yeah, it bites deep and very, very nice. Get a couple more of those. Also, we do have a really nice sharpening choil here, so cool beans, cool beans. Cardboard bits over there. Let's go ahead and grab our rope. Where's the end of our rope? It's getting harder and harder to find. There we go. Whew! Very nice. And actually, for this test, instead of doing like this, I'm going to use this edge. Ooh, maybe if it's not too wet. Okay, I'll be honest. That is not what I was expecting. Let's try just the regular blade. Might be because the rope is wet. See, can I get a drier piece? You know what? Let's grab another knife real quick. Controlled testing, guys. Nope. Yeah, that's performing just like I normally expect the rope to act. So, yeah, that's a little bit interesting. We were not able to get through the rope all that well with this, even pushing down like that. Very interesting. Granted, this tip is more of a scraper and chisel, but that's very surprising to me. That was very, very surprising. Alrighty, let's grab our pool noodle and let's go ahead and attack it. Oh gosh, our pool noodle's been smashed on that side. Alrighty, so that first cut, I went off course a little bit. That was on me. Second cut, I also kind of hit the choil and overcorrected. Not real great. Third cut was a lot better. I did, however, feel that transition from this grind to that grind. Kind of, we went from cutting to wedging. So, yeah, you can see that kind of right there. See, we were slicing really nice and thin, and then we kind of started to wedge it apart. Yeah. Which, it's a chisel razor, right? What were you expecting? This is exactly what I was kind of expecting from it. So, not surprised. Not surprised. This knife is still incredibly, incredibly useful, and we will talk about that more at the table. So, let's go ahead and get back to it. And we are back. Let's go ahead and talk about what I'm liking and not liking about this very unique little fixed blade. Number one, this is a very eye-catching design. Yeah, it looks weird and goofy with this very unique blade shape, but I love the burlap micarta with the red liners. This is a very, very classy look. The satin finish on the blade is done really nicely. Love the red pins. Everything about this just looks really classy. It feels a lot more expensive than it is, right? But yeah, I do also love the look of the Razel blade. Definitely something that stands out in my collection. I don't own anything else that's even remotely like this, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing for sure. Next thing, CRKT used decent materials on this. I know a lot of us are used to CRKT kind of dropping the ball when it comes to materials they use. They love 8CR and 4116, but with this knife here, they went with D2 and micarta. And I'm really, really glad they did that. Yeah, D2 is not the most fancy or exotic steel out there right now, but for CRKT, this is a big step up, right? And I don't mind D2, right? D2 is fine. So yeah, I really, really appreciate that. It does seem like CRKT is starting to move away from 8CR and 4116. Sorry, I had like a really weird brain fart there. Some of the stuff they're releasing this year looks like they're moving towards OS 10, things like that. Still charging quite a bit of money for some of those, but I'm glad to see them kind of experimenting with new materials. Next thing, this is a great size. If you're going to be EDCing a fixed blade, this is a fantastic size. I think a lot of people are really, really going to enjoy that, and there's a lot of benefits to EDCing a fixed blade, right? A pocket fixed blade like this is a beautiful thing. I want to make a video about EDC fixed blades. I'm working on that right now because I've been converted, absolutely. I think a fixed blade, an EDC fixed blade is wonderful. Next thing, the ergonomics on this are actually pretty good. At first, I felt a little bit cramped. You can see here just the way the handle is shaped. You know, I can squeeze all my fingers in there if I really, really squeeze. And actually, this isn't uncomfortable. It feels very secure, but I couldn't do this for a very long time. This finger's rubbing up on this and pretty painful. And then I try and space my fingers out, and I just felt like I was, losing a lot of grip. But the more I use the knife, the more comfortable with it I got, and I settled into this grip here. And this is actually very comfortable. If you've got smaller hands than me, you're probably a girl, but this will work well for you. And if you've got bigger hands than me, they've given you this little area here that you can kind of, you know, rest a finger on. You've also got a lanyard hole, so you can add a lanyard on here for extra length if you need to. But yeah, overall, pretty comfortable knife. I also like the jimping up here. Very unique jimping. Focus up, camera. Thank you. Very unique jimping. I don't know why they left this little space here, but it looks cool. I think that's why they did it. It looks cool, and I like it. The jimping itself has got a very nice texture. It's pretty grippy, but it's not, you know, rippy. I like that a whole lot. Let's go ahead and talk about the sheath. There's a lot of things I like about the sheath. It's very simple, right? This is it. You know, but I do like that they intend for this to be a pocket fixed blade. This little clip works really well. The knife is pretty slim in this package. Focus up, camera. There you go. And it kind of feels like a wallet. Putting this in your pocket feels like a wallet. It's not uncomfortable at all. This is a very, very easy knife to carry. It's easy to, you know, the clip has enough retention to put it into your pocket and it will hold on so you can draw the knife out. But if you want to take the whole thing out, it's easy to do that as well. So I really, really like that a whole lot. Again, just a plastic sheath, but the retention, very good retention. They don't necessarily give you a thumb push off, but this area here works as that. So if they intended that to be that way, good job. Maybe we'd like to see some jimping there just to make it a little bit easier, but yeah, the retention is fine. A little bit of rattle if I really, really shake it, but you know, nothing I would complain about at all. So I do like the sheath. You do have these holes here that you can probably rig some kind of attachment up. I didn't test it. I'm not sure if these are Tech-Lock compatible, but yeah, you know, you could do something with that. Alrighty, let's talk about the blade. I know that's what we've been waiting for. I like this blade a lot. D2 steel again, satin finish. You've got a hollow grind here and a flat grind up here. So you do have a compound grind. And I was a little bit hesitant about this blade shape, right? I didn't know how it would work. But after using this blade shape, I gotta say, I'm very impressed. It has a lot of applications that I wasn't necessarily expecting it to have. And I found myself carrying this knife a lot. So obviously this blade shape was designed by John Graham. He was the guy that invented this. And the name Razel is the fact that this is a mix between a razor and a chisel. You know, you've got kind of the chisel shape, and I guess, you know, the straight edge for the razor, you know, it's sharpened down here. And what I found is this is kind of a modified Tonto, right? You technically have two edges, right? You've got two edges, this edge and this edge. You've got a point here, but it's not like a pokey point. You don't really have a tip on this thing. But this edge here does allow you to get into utility cuts. You've got plenty of straight here for slicing and push cuts. And again, hollow grind here, flat grind here. We're quite a bit thinner behind the edge here than we are up here. Not that this is like a laser beam. This isn't super thin behind the edge. But it's definitely thinner than up here. This straight edge here that is parallel to your grip allows you to do some really nice scraping tasks. I know G-Ball, he bought one of these recently, and he's a carpenter. He was talking about how he thinks that this would have a lot of utility in his job. And at the time of me recording this video, he has not posted his video on the Razel yet. If he has, you should definitely check it out. I hope he shows some woodworking with it. But yeah, I can absolutely see that being a fantastic use for this knife. You know, kind of scraping wood shavings off of a board or something. I found this was excellent for opening blister packs. Stick this tip in and then push up, and since you've got this sharpened edge here, you know, you can rip things out like that. Fantastic blister pack destroyer. This was also a knife, interestingly enough, I used for scoring. I was doing a project where I was working with some wood, and I was scoring it like this, which, yeah, that's a pretty cool application. Definitely a unique blade shape, but not unusable, right? There's a lot of knives out there that have blades that look completely outlandish and weird and wild, but they're not that useful. And so you have them, they exist as just kind of an oddity, a novelty. They're just something you have because it looks cool. This is something that not only looks cool, but is actually usable. And that's the best, right? That's all you can ask for. So I really like that a whole lot. Something else to point out, CRKT did keep their branding to a minimum here, which, yeah, good for them, right? Sometimes they can have annoying branding. They do not have annoying branding in this case. A few other odds and ends to point out. The sharpening tool here is done decently well. You know, you can get a couple sharpenings out of that. They made sure to round over this metal protrusion of the tang here, so you know it's not going to be a sharp spot. Yeah, just a lot of things were really well done. They kind of rounded over the top of the blade here. This knife really does feel like it was made with a lot of love and care and intent, so I absolutely love that. Alrighty, let's go ahead and move into some of my negatives. Number one, CRKT, they don't put blade steel markings on any of their knives. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're ashamed of their 4116 and 8CR, but honestly, I prefer things have a blade steel marking. I don't know why, like, it doesn't make a whole lot of functional difference, but I just like to know what steel my tool has. And even though, you know, I bought this and it said when I bought it, you know, G2 steel, you know, heck, maybe I wouldn't have bought this knife until it was discontinued and I found it at a garage sale years in the future, right? I'd want to know what the steel is, and I just think it's an important thing for manufacturers to do. Even if they don't mark it on the blade, like, I don't know, put it on the handle, or I don't know, put it somewhere, right? I want blade steel marking. It's a little really weird nitpicking, and functionally it doesn't really matter that much, but there it is. Next thing, the sheath. I wish this sheath had a reversible pocket clip. Why, CRKT? Why did you not do that? That's such a no-brainer thing to do. This knife is completely ambidextrous if they had only made that pocket clip reversible. Now, there's a couple things a lefty could do. I guess maybe, you know, just wear it like this and draw it backward. I don't know. That seems like a wasted opportunity. It seems like a really dumb decision. And it probably wouldn't have cost that much more to just make the clip reversible, right? Right? I don't know. Things like that frustrate me. I know a lot of people out there who are left-handed are probably going to be very frustrated at that as well. But yeah, come on, guys. Not just CRKT, but all manufacturers in general. If you're going to be making a knife that is pretty ambi-friendly, make it ambi-friendly, right? Make it available to the lefties of the world. And honestly, that's about it. Those are all my complaints. One thing that I could mention is that this thing was not particularly sharp out of the box, but I sharpened it up. The D2 probably is not the best D2 out there, but it worked fine for what I was using it for. This tip up, this edge up here, even right now is not razor sharp. In fact, let's see how sharp this knife is right now. I have been using this quite a bit, so it might be pretty dull. Okay, this edge is okay. A little bit of roughness. Let's see about this edge up here. It's a hard one to test sharpness on. Yeah, it's sharp. Not as sharp as the primary edge because, you know, it's more of a chisel. It's not supposed to be a razor, right? But, you know, definitely functionally sharp. I can probably sharpen it up just a little bit more, make it a little bit more useful. But yeah, those are really all my complaints. Let's go on to my final conclusions. How much does this thing cost? $60. That is 100% worth it. This is a fantastic knife at that price point. I'm so glad CRKT did not, you know, put this in 8CR and try and charge us $60. Do I recommend this knife? Yes, 100%. Not only is it a unique addition to any collection, it's a beautiful looking knife, it's a well-made knife, and it's a useful knife. This is definitely one of my favorite, in fact, I think this is my favorite CRKT. The more I'm thinking about it, yeah, this is absolutely my favorite CRKT. There's no other CRKT that even compares to this. I love the looks. I love the feel on hand. I love the build quality. Everything about this knife just works for me. And that's an amazing thing. This is a fantastic knife. Definitely get one if you have the opportunity to. You will not regret it. It's just super cool. Super cool. And CRKT is doing a lot with these gram designs. They have a lot of knives that they released around the same time as this, fixed blades. They've got a compact one. They've got one that has no scales. They've got a big machete looking one. Lots of cool stuff. Lots of things that are really fun but also functional. And I think that's cool, you know, especially right now when so much of the knife world just looks the same and it's so monotonous. This is a breath of fresh air, and it's a well done breath of fresh air. So anyways, those are my thoughts. Definitely go out and get one if you have the opportunity to. Anyways, that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon. I'll see you in the next one. Adios.